that have actually been affected by this disaster at Patel Dam in Nakuru County. Most of them are recovering at the Nakuru Level 5 hospital.
That is right. And yes, as we're told, that 40 remain unaccounted for, at least 40 remain unaccounted for, and 40 are receiving treatment as they have been injured. And this is after this effect, after the walls of this private dam at Patel Farm, Nakuru County, caved in, leaving in its wake massive destruction.
All right. And now Bridget Ngana is ready with that official number of missing persons that is now currently at 44 following the walls of dam at Patel Farm, Nakuru County caving in, leaving in its wake massive destruction and loss of life.
Sights of shock and anguish at the scene of what was once a residential area housing two villages, Gachanja and Kwa Energy. What remains is an open field, save for the debris that gave a sense of what once stood on these grounds. Both the Bahati Sub-County Hospital and the Nakuru Level 5 Hospital received survivors of the dam collapse. And at this male ward at the Nakuru County Hospital, 24-year-old James Mushiri was being prepped for surgery on his broken legs. He recounts the events from Wednesday night.
Kufika Masai saa 2 mimi nimetulia tu nyumbani hapo hivyo. Nikasikia maji inakuja. Lakini saa kwenda before nipe akina mama na dad warning. Maji ikakuwa imefika. Sasa ikakuza ikafagia kila kitu, nyumba, mifugo, everything.
At the time the waters swept through their house, James was at home with his parents and his niece. He says he clung to a tree for more than an hour before he was rescued.
Sikia miti for about 1 hour and 30 minutes hapo hivi. Sasa ndo nikaanza after maji kupungua sasa nikaanza kuitana usaidizi na kulikuwa na watu walikuwa wanapita hapo na matochi. Sasa walikuja wakaniokoa.
Another survivor, Pius Muthe, says he was at home with his 4 children and wife when the tragedy occurred.
Kuna maji, hapa malengine kuna maji, kuna kibao hivi. Nikaonga hiyo maji, nikajisuia na nikipiga nduru, watu waje kunisaidia. Nikalipata kwa nyumba nikajilala tu hapo nikajilala. Nikustukia asubuhi nikaamka.
Security organs in the county have set up a counseling and reconciliation station at the scene to assist the affected individuals and their kin as they search for missing persons.
Familia ambazo ziko affected, mali tumewaonesha chini ya ile miti pale. Muende sehemu ile, tutakuja kuongea na nyinyi, mtufahamishe wale jamaa zenu ambayo mpaka saa hii hawajaonekana.
Tutatoa chakula ya kutosha hapa. Tutawashughulikia kabisa kuhakikisha kwamba mmepata chakula cha kutosha na malazi hapa, hasa wale ambao wamepoteza makao kwa sasa.
There are fears that the death toll may rise as the recovery mission continues on Friday. From our conversations with those who survived the dam collapse in Solai, they're still in the dark regarding the welfare of their kin, and they do hope that the desk set up to reconcile these families will be able to give them the news that they need so that they can be able to be at peace still in their distress. Bridget Ngana, NTV, Nakuru County.
As the devastating effects of the heavy rainfall continue to be felt across the country, one family in Muranga is counting its blessings after barely escaping the landslide death trap that engulfed them 2 weeks ago.
The family of 4 had been caught up in a muddy trap after their home was demolished by a landslide, but the quick thinking and action of 2 young boys saved the life of their mother. NTV's Brenda Wanga with more.
For close to 2 weeks now, this polytechnic perched neatly atop a hill in Gitugu, Mavioya constituency, Muranga County, has been home to at least 40 families. All of them united in one aspect, victims of the force of nature that ravaged their villages a few kilometers from here. They had built their houses, their homes and their lives on the edges of the river. The ongoing rains have seeped deep into the land, turning the already soft ground into a dangerous place. On the night of 27th April this year, the ground moved literally, taking with it several houses and 2 ridges. In one of the houses was a mother and her 3 children.
Tukalala masaa 4
Ikifika saa 6:30 nikasikia mlalamo ya nini ya mvua. Sasa vile nilikuwa nimelala, nilisikia kama ni kitu kimeanguka kwa nyumba.
What they thought was a simple accident turned out to be an incident that threatened to tear their family apart in the worst way possible. The soil mixed with the water from the rivulet that had suddenly formed in the middle of their home was slowly but surely pulling the family into the mighty River Mathioya.
Na kulikuwa usiku. Sasa vile wakitoka tu hivi wakaniambia, "Mam, na kunaenda." Nikauliza kunaenda aje? Chini inaenda. Inatupeleka. Nikaambia msijali, hata ikiwa inatupeleka hakuna shida. Tukitokea tu tunashikana mikono. Pale tunaenda naye Mungu ni nani, anaagusha mti, tunaenda na mti. Unajua sisi hatukuwa tunajua ati ni maji. Tulikuwa tunajua ni maji, ilikuwa karibu na sisi.
But soon the lake they were riding on ran out, and it was just the mother, her 2 sons and her daughter, the mud and the fast approaching river.
Tulifika, miti ikaisha. Hapo ndio nilikuwa nimeona sasa hii ni kifo.
Her motherly instincts kicked in, and her only concern was her children's safety.
Pale tulifika, nikawaambia, sasa mimi kwa sababu mmetokea, nimejua nimewacha watoto. Sasa mimi wacheni mimi niende.
But her sons, aged 8 and 6 years old, would hear none of that.
Tuambia tuende na najua ameacha watoto. Tukamwambia hapana, fadhali tukufe wote.
With that resolution, the 2 boys summoned all their energies and pulled their mother out of the muddy prison she had found herself in and onto safety.
Tuko tunataka kujua sababu tulikuwa tumependa mama yetu.
Tuseme tu ni Mungu waliweka hiyo nini nguvu ya kunifuruta. Sasa watoto wangu naombea sana sana.
And even in this camp that has become home to them alongside tens of others, this family is still standing strong, buoyed by their love and dedication to each other. They are fast adapting to the routines of camp life, grateful to the second chance at life that they have been given to live together.
Well, this family barely survived the biggest and most devastating landslide to occur in this area in the last 60 years. Their main concern now remains where to resettle once the rainy season is over. Brenda Wanga, NTV, in Murang'a County.
You know, watching that story, Mark, it brings to perspective that saying, "Uchungu wa mwana ajuaye ni mama." In this case, it has more meaning than one.
Bittersweet, that story. It is lovely to hear that, what the extent people can go to for their loved ones, but as well with the context given. It is bittersweet.
Okay, to that World Cup season that's just around the corner, and Kenyan football fans are guaranteed free and breathtaking action of the 2018 FIFA World Cup on NTV following Nation Media Group and Quessa Broadcast partnership.
NTV will air 32 matches, including all the matches involving the 5 African teams at the competition, as well as the World Cup final.
32 matches, including all African teams matches at the group stage, 2 quarterfinals, the semi-finals and the final of the 2018 FIFA World Cup tournament will be aired live on NTV starting the 14th of June.
It promises to be exciting, and you can see that.
We are planning to transform NTV into the home of the FIFA 2018 World Cup. And we are all set for this. Our quality is second to none, as you know, our viewers out there. We are promising to reach 4 million viewers every given day.
This has been made possible through a partnership with Nation Media Group through NTV and Quessa Free Sports Kenya.
We're able to afford advertisers an opportunity not only to be on Quessa Free Sports, but to also be on Nation TV. And so for us, it's exciting. Nation comes with such good things to offer and to add on to what Quessa Free Sports can offer, that for us we see it as a win-win, not only for ourselves as brands, both NTV and Quessa Free Sports, but for audiences and advertisers in Kenya.
Kenyans will have a chance to follow up on the performance of the 5 African teams in Russia, including Senegal, Nigeria, Egypt, Tunisia and Morocco as they fly the continent's flag in Russia. Is it something different?
The whole issue of the World Cup is really at the heart of our real commitment to promote the youth and to promote the sporting in this world. We all know that our youth, especially in Kenya, are very committed to sport, and they would like to have an opportunity where they could watch, they could actually receive the World Cup free in their homes, and therefore NTV gives our youth and our general public the opportunity to receive this sport.
Millions of ardent football fans will also view the extravaganza as Germany seeks to defend its World Cup title.
Kwa hasa timu ya taifa akina Musa Mohamed hapa wataweza kuona mbinu mpya, ndio tuone labda Qatar watakapoandaa michuano hii miaka 4 ijayo, labda akina Musa atakuwa kule na Harambee Stars.
A total of 32 countries will participate in the 2018 FIFA World Cup. 64 matches will be played in 12 venues located in 11 cities. The final will take place on the 15th of July at the 81,000-seater capacity Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow. The partnership will go a long way in ensuring more exposure for Kenyans, minute-by-minute action from Russia, perhaps a motivator for what may be Kenya's participation in the FIFA World Cup in the coming years. Brian Otwal, NTV.
Figure has risen up to 44 as we talk. We have no unaccounted persons so far reported, and from the tracing center, that is the camp, we have picked from the list that the families are coming up with a figure of 40 reported missing persons from that tracing desk. And that is what we would wish to reconcile from tomorrow between the figures in the morgue and what the list we have from the tracing desk. Again, we had a concern over the dams. As the governor stated, a team of engineers from the county government and the national office visited the two dams that had been reported to have concerns. They did their expert inspection and they made their recommendations. They reported back to the command center. Some action was to be taken. What the governor stated, that we need to reduce the pressure because of the high amount of discharge in the dams.
The exhumation exercise in Jarange village, Mbeere North, drew a huge crowd of onlookers. The exercise was spearheaded by Dr. Kalsi, a human forensic specialist from the Government Pathologist Office. The team excavated several spots in the compound, including a pit latrine, where the GSU officer is said to have dumped the bodies of Pauline Kagendo and her 6-month-old son in June last year. The scene was secured with the public and the media limited to viewing from a distance as the pathologist worked and police controlled the crowd.
Tumechimba nyumba ya choo kwa nyumba ya baba ya msukiwa, na tumepata mifupa Mipupa tunafikiria ni ya mama yake.
Mbeere North OCPD Jane Sang said 3 suspects have so far been arrested, including the JSU officer, and are being held at Chicago police station.
Kwa hivyo uchunguzi inaendelea na msiwe na wasiwasi yoyote. Serikali watachukua hatua, polisi wanafanya kazi yao.
Sang appealed to the family of the deceased to be patient and wait for investigations to conclude, urging them to report to the police station in case of any inquiry. She says the government pathologist has collected enough material which will be scrutinized to establish whether there are any indications and evidence that the officer indeed killed his girlfriend and the child. Once evidence is finalized, the suspects will be charged with murder in a court of law.
We're here to achieve something.
Safaricom app to access data usage when prompted. Download the My Safaricom app.
Welcome back. Police say East African Legislative Assembly MP Simon Mbogwe and 2 other men that were arrested and charged in court are the masterminds of the attack that carried out by goons against businessman Timothy Muriuki.
While speaking to NTV's Seth Olale at the Kenya School of Government, police spokesman Charles Wino says the goons are still at large and will soon be brought to book.
Security agencies say Yala MP Simon Mbugua, Anthony Ombok alias Jamal, and Benjamin Odhiambo alias Odis played a role in last month's attack on businessman Timothy Muriuki. Police spokesman Charles Owino, who attended a leadership workshop for senior police officers at the Kenya School of Government, revealed that the trio who were arrested and charged in court were actively involved in the planning and financing of the attack.
The persons we have taken to court are persons that from where we sit, we have very clear evidence that they are involved in this assault. They may not be appearing in the cameras as you are asking.
Owino further disclosed that security agencies are also pursuing the goons' leadership, including sponsors and organizers who were actively involved in the assault on the former Nairobi Central Business District chairman.
If today you aid, abet, procure, assist, plan for somebody to be harmed, at the end of the day you may find you have more criminal responsibility than even the person who actually did it.
Other than the goons who attacked Muriuki, police warned that they will ruthlessly deal with gangs that attack innocent Kenyans.
But what is most important for us as security agencies is when such like a vice emerges, then we have to move in and manage it.
It is 10 days since Muriuki was ambushed by the youth who stated that they were protecting Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko's name from being tarnished. The suspects are yet to be arrested. Police say it is just a matter of time before the suspects are nabbed. Police say they have gathered important information, or rather evidence, from collaborators and they are on course to arrest the principal suspect who assaulted businessman Timothy Muriuki. Seth Olale, NTV, Kenya School of Government.
From finding goons, or at least trying to, and fighting corruption, President Uhuru Kenyatta today talked strongly against corruption, saying the vice has the potential to both undermine his Big Four agenda and completely destroy the country.
The head of state spoke at the 8th Presidential Roundtable Forum today at State House, which brought together both government and partners from the private alliance under the umbrella of Kenya Private Sector Alliance.
President Kenyatta said it was time for Kenyans to be blunt and honest with one another, especially when things go wrong. Currently, illicit trade costs the country 200 billion shillings in lost revenue annually.
The president said the amount lost can finance some projects under the Big Four agenda, and he also appointed Deputy Head of Public Service Wanyama Musiambo to lead efforts towards the eradication of corruption and illicit trade, mainly through the port of Mombasa.
This is not a blame game. We're not here for blame game. We're here to achieve something. Government needs to do its part, but private sector also needs to do their part. Isn't that the way? Huh? Yes, sir. And since the whole of government is here, and I believe now that the manufacturing sector is also here, amongst other sectors, let's finish this. Yeah? And we set ourselves targets. Everybody sets themselves targets.
And to something that has been top of mind, President Uhuru Kenyatta and NASA leader Raila Odinga will jointly launch a comprehensive program highlighting the objectives of the Building the Bridges initiative that kicked off with a handshake.
The program, which will be prepared by the 14-member team of advisors, will also contain a 9-point agenda with a detailed schedule for progress and review.
The team, led by Joint Secretaries of the initiative, Ambassador Martin Kimani and Paul Mwangi, held a familiarization session attended by Raila Odinga.
The opposition leader briefed the team on President Uhuru Kenyatta and his expectations from the advice and wisdom they will receive from the team of advisors who will embark on a retreat for purposes of compiling the program. Watching NTV Tonight, we take another break. We'll be back with business. Welcome to business. For the last 2 weeks, more than 150 containers with tea for export have been stuck at the port of Mombasa because they're yet to be loaded onto ships. Exporters accuse port officials of prioritizing imports over exports and redirecting cranes to offload cargo leaving the port on the SGR, thereby leaving exporters with no one to load their ships. The East Africa Tea Trade Association, EATTA, says the majority shipping lines, such as Maersk, are rejecting bookings for tea exports on grounds that the inefficiencies at the port are causing them too many delays in Mombasa. Kenya uses Maersk to export the beverage to Pakistan, the country's biggest buyer. EATTA says these delays could cost Kenya up to 940 million shillings in losses, especially now that the Mombasa tea auction is moving large volumes. An attempt by the Labour Ministry to transfer money to the elderly through the Inua Jamii Social Protection Scheme is encountering a monumental challenge in the form of lack of bank accounts for majority of the beneficiaries. Less than a quarter of the 566,000 persons listed under the cash transfer program in April have no bank accounts and hence cannot receive the 2,000 shillings per month meant for them. 4 banks have been selected to disburse the funds, but the success of the program now seems far from certain. An official from the Social Protection Department says that those without bank accounts will not receive the cash, and that position, however, poses a serious challenge for those who do not live close to banks and those whose mobility is limited. The cash for the elderly program costs 30 billion shillings annually. At least 5 deals and 1 memorandum of understanding have been signed between Kenya and Djibouti aimed at fostering relations and improving trade between the two countries. A joint communique from State House indicates that the two countries signed agreements on cooperation in trade, vocational training, mutual visa exemption for holders of diplomatic passports, and reciprocal promotion and protection of investments. They also signed MOUs on bilateral cooperation in the agriculture sector, as well as an MOU between Kenya Airways and Air Djibouti SAS, providing for Kenya Airways to assist Air Djibouti in capacity building and maintenance services. Kenya's prowess in harnessing geothermal power was displayed earlier today to the president of Djibouti, Ismail Gule, who had an expansive tour of the Olkaria geothermal site in Naivasha. During the tour, he was accompanied by the Energy Cabinet Secretary, Charles Keter, as well as Agriculture Cabinet Secretary, Mwangi Kiojori. Kenya remains a global powerhouse in geothermal extraction, hence the bid by foreign leaders to seek collaborative partnerships to enhance the production of clean energy. The president's tour also saw him visit the Oserian flower farm, where he was taken through an overview of the production process of export products.
We are doing an agreement between ourselves and the government of Djibouti so that we can lay down the framework on how we can engage, even in terms of the investment. Kenyan also bidding, as you are aware, for the tender.
We have signed a number of agreements of cooperation between our two countries, and we are very big challenge, and especially in the energy field, which Kenya is a leader.
Central Organization of Trade Union Secretary General Francis Atwoli has called on the government to reintroduce the Sugar Development Fund because it will help revive the struggling mills in Western Kenya. The levy was scrapped in July 2016, a move that the millers protested.
There are regulations in sugar industry that regulate farming of sugar industry, and these regulations must be gazetted, because if we don't zone farmers, then we are killing that industry, where the cartels with private or who are called private millers can be able to access sugar from Soni to Kakamega, or from Kakamega to Nyanza, sugarcane. They collect everywhere within the region without knowing that in those areas they are collecting sugarcane, we have factories existing.
That's it from the business desk tonight, but we'll have more after the break.
Thank you for staying with us. Kenya Medical Practitioners and the Dentist Union and University Academic Staff Union leaders say the strike is still on. The union leaders want Kenyans to join them in pushing the government to meet their demands, which once met will lead to the return of normalcy in the higher education and health sectors. NTV's Sharon Baranga reports on the twin strikes that have struck deep, hurting many in the process.
The ongoing strikes by members of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists and University Academic Staff Unions have affected activities in public universities and hospitals.
If you walk to this hospital, you will find that it's an empty shell. There's very little going on. Kenyatta is only handling emergencies, and a number of people are really suffering.
Members of the unions unanimously agreed that the strikes continue until lecturers achieve conclusion on the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreement and doctors receive payment of clinical allowances.
Shockingly, to date, our members who are teaching staff
in the medical schools have not earned this clinical allowance, which was agreed, signed for, and money allocated for.
I am a lecturer. I'm not going back to work. We are not boarding together with our students.
We are ready to resolve this matter in the shortest time possible. All we need is a responsive counter-offer to the proposal that we sent way back in March 2017.
UASU is advising students attending classes to stop, claiming that those teaching them are not professionals. Meanwhile, Kenyatta University Student Association wants UASU to stop intimidating and threatening lecturers who are willing to resume teaching.
To those students who are outside there, that they think maybe they're not aware of the resumption of classes, that the classes have already kicked on.
Students must not allow themselves to be addressed by those who are not qualified to do so.
UASU has further directed lecturers not to attend meetings called by departments or university management, sign attendance registers, sign letters of commitment to work, or respond to show cause, suspension, or other disciplinary letters.
Union leaders from both the medics and lecturers' side took issue with Kenyans, saying that they are too silent over the paralysis that has struck the higher education sector and the health. They want the public to join them in pushing the government to meet their demands.
It's not just a failure of leadership, it's also a failure of citizenry. These are the things that should attract protests. Kenyans, these are the things that should attract protests. When your hospitals and your universities are not working, you are not a country.
Sharon Barano, NTV.
Security matters now. Turkana leaders now want Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i removed from the security docket over frequent killings in Kapedo. The legislators say the insecurity in Kapedo is largely about mineral resources found in the region. The Turkana leaders now want the government to act immediately and arrest the culprits. Earlier in May, 4 people who were traveling from Kapedo to Marigat were shot dead by armed bandits in an ambush. At the same time, reports indicated that several other people were missing following the bandit attack in Kapedo, allegedly a short distance from Chesetet military camp.
I'm now putting all Pokot leaders on notice, beginning with Dr. Moy, Honorable Kamket, and His Excellency John Lonyapuo. I'm giving you 1 week to tell us what your interest is in Turkana.
Baada ya siku 7 kama serikali hata kwa amefanya jambo lolote, sisi kama viongozi tutatumia njia ya kisheria kwenda kushitaki wale wanaohusika. Tutaenda kuwataja mbele ya sheria, tutaenda mahakamani kutetea watu wetu.
I want to ask the government, where is the peace that Matiang'i talks about? Turkana people have accepted to down tool, but the people of Baringo have refused completely the word peace, and that is why Mr. Kamket, I will not call him a honorable member, because a person who incites Kenyans to fight should not be called a honorable member.
Time for another short break right here on NTV tonight. Brian Otwal will be back with the sporting action.
Welcome to NTV Sport. My name is Brian Otual. With the postponement of the Sekafa Women's Championship, the national women football team Harambee Starlets have been forced to break camp. Starlets started their camp in Machakos in late April, days after eliminating Uganda 1-0 on aggregate in the first round of the Africa Women's Cup of Nations qualifiers. The Sekafa Women tournament was supposed to be held in Rwanda and feature 10 teams, but funds for the event were not released to the federation by Sekafa in time. Kenya will next face Equatorial Guinea in the second and final qualifying round between the 4th and 12th of June. And Harambee Stars coach Sebastian Minye will do without services of winger Ayub Timbe in the next 3 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers following his 3-match ban or rather suspension by